What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Terence Bud Crawford, agrees to face off against two-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Showtime Shawn Porter in his next fight, should he not be able to secure a big, lucrative, massive unification showdown with undefeated, unified WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer ERROL Truth Spence Jr., or a legendary showdown with 8-division world champion, iconic superstar boxer, Filipino Senate, and currently the WBA welterweight world champion, Manny Pacquiao. So we know that legendary promoter, Top Rank CEO Bob Arum stated that he believes that if a fight with Shawn Porter and Terence Crawford is to get made, there will be two ways for that fight to get made. That being the fact that if Shawn Porter accepts a $1 million offer, flat fee, he says he will make the fight in a heartbeat. Or if Shawn Porter files for his mandatory position to be upheld, as he's the WBO #1 challenger, the mandatory challenger for Terence Bud Crawford's title, he says that he would allow it to go to a purse bid and all but allow Al Heyman, PBC, Premier Boxing Champion, founder, and advisor, to win the purse bid, thus having to force Al Heyman to be accountable for the purse bids for this showdown. That way, that lets Bob Arum off the hook. Bob Arum doesn't believe Shawn Porter is a big draw, and he clearly don't believe his own fighter in Terence Bud Crawford is a big draw, as he stated that Terence Crawford in his last 3 fights, prior to facing off against former IBF welterweight world champion, British superstar boxer Special K, Kell Brook, he stated that he lost so much money in those 3 fights that he could build a mansion in Beverly Hills from scratch. That's how much money he lost on Terence Crawford. So clearly he does not believe that Terence Crawford is a big draw. He do not believe he'll get a return on his investment when dealing with a fight of this magnitude. He doesn't believe in Shawn Porter grossing power. He don't believe that Shawn Porter is a big enough star. So he don't want to make the fight between Shawn Porter and Terence Crawford. He don't want to make the fight between Terence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao, because he clearly don't believe Manny Pacquiao is worth the money Manny Pacquiao was asking for. Now, Manny Pacquiao clearly is asking for huge lump sums of money, amounts of money. He wants $20 to $25 million to fight Terence Crawford. And Bob Arum confirmed that Manny Pacquiao got $20 to $25 million to fight 4-division world champion, superstar boxer Adrian the Problem Broner. And then he did so against former unified WBC, WBA welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman. So he stated that he was happy that he wasn't on the hook to have to pay for those purses. And he confirmed that. He says that Manny Pacquiao got $20 to $25 million for a fight that only did 400,000 pay-per-view buys. So he clearly doesn't believe that Terence Crawford, who only did combined 210,000 pay-per-views with his 2 pay-per-view showdowns with Victor Postol and Amir Khan, he clearly don't believe he's a big enough draw, because if 400,000 pay-per-view buys is not enough in Bob Arum's eyes, then 200, half of that, is definitely not enough. And he stated that Terence Crawford don't promote himself. He's not marketable, and he just don't get along with the media, right? So with that said, Terence Crawford did state at one point in time that he knew if he wasn't with Top Rank and with Bob Arum that he could make and secure these fights. Now, Terence Crawford's lawyer had reached out to Top Rank and reached out to Bob Arum and told him and expressed the fact that they were not happy with the fact that Terence Crawford has yet to secure a big, lucrative money fight. Terence Crawford hasn't had a legacy fight, and they were not happy with that, and they were looking forward to being a free agent October 2021 if things don't change, right? Bob Arum was not happy that was leaked to the public. Bob Arum said he wanted to do away with Terence Crawford. So the fact that Terence Crawford did state that he knows without Bob Arum he can make these big fights, and now Terence Crawford is stating if he's not able to secure a fight with Errol Spence or Manny Pacquiao, then his next option is going to be Shawn Porter. He wants to face Shawn Porter. Now Shawn Porter is mandatory. Once upon a time, they stated that they would not face off against each other because of the friendship that they have. That has since went by the wayside, as Shawn Porter clearly made it his intentions to fight Terence Crawford next. He stated that it's new added motivation for himself. He said it's a fresh start. You know, it's a different fight. He already fought Errol Spence. He lost. But he would like to fight Manny Pacquiao. But he said his sights are set on fighting Terence Crawford. He says as the fans started to call for it, it started to manifest in his brain. And as he's been training lately, he said his sole focus is on Terence Crawford. So, the whole friendship thing has went by the wayside. And it seems clearly that Shawn Porter is interested. And now great news is that Terence Crawford is interested in this fight. This is a good fight. This is a great fight, right? It's going to be action packed. You're going to get your money's worth if for some reason it's on pay-per-view, which I highly doubt. But you're going to get, time is money. So the most precious thing in life is your time. So you'll get your time's worth if you see Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter face off against one another in a huge implication showdown, because Terence Crawford is going to have to make a lot of adjustments in this fight. Terence Crawford WBO strap is on the line, and also the fact that Terence Crawford has a big lucrative fight with Errol Spence waiting in the wings. Now, we already saw Errol Spence defeat Showtime Shawn Porter, but if Shawn Porter is able to somehow upset the apple cart and have a rematch with Errol Spence, as he does want, he says he wants to rectify that. And now it got even bigger than it was the first time. And their first fight was action-packed. It went down to the wire. I thought Errol Spence separated himself with the knockdown in the 11th round and clearly won in the 12th round. And then there's a lot of rounds in between where you could say, you thought Shawn Porter won, and some people say Errol Spence won. Now, I thought that Errol Spence was winning majority of the early rounds as well, but they were very close rounds where people may favor Shawn Porter in those rounds because of his activity, right? So with that said, huge implication. There's a lot on the line for Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford gets to this point and loses to Shawn Porter. Everything he did leading up into that, right, is going to be frowned upon. Why is it going to be frowned upon? Because people are going to say, well, the first time you had a huge legacy, lucrative fight against a fighter in his prime, you lost, right? Now, he did fight Yuriorkis Gamboa in his prime, but Yuriorkis Gamboa came up 2 weight classes. He was clearly the bigger man. He did fight Kell Brook, but Kell Brook was clearly out his prime. He did fight Amir Khan, and no doubt Amir Khan was out his prime, and Amir Khan seemed to have quit in his fight with Terence Crawford. He claimed that he got hit with a low blow and wasn't able to continue. So Amir Khan had no interest in continuing that fight because he saw himself getting knocked out after getting knocked down early in the fight. Manny Pacquiao has no interest in fighting Terence Crawford. If he did, he would acknowledge so. He has yet to acknowledge so, and his longtime trainer, Freddie Roach, said they have no interest in fighting Terence Crawford because stylistically, he reminds them too much of Floyd Mayweather. Now, Manny Pacquiao clearly would love that rematch because he cited the reason he lost to Floyd Mayweather was due to torn rotator cuff, right? So he'd been yearning to get a rematch with Floyd Mayweather for quite some time himself. So, this is like him getting a version of Floyd Mayweather facing off against Terence Crawford. But Terence Crawford is a dog, and he would more than likely stop Manny Pacquiao, in my opinion. But with that said, Bob Arum is not willing to pay big money for a Manny Pacquiao-Terence Crawford fight because he believes it'll do around the same numbers as Manny Pacquiao did with Adrian Broner. And that's just not something. Bob Arum is not into losing money. He wants to get a return on his investment. And he don't believe he can do so with Terence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao. So it seems like the next option, as Terence Crawford stated, that he does have interest in fighting Shawn Porter now. If he can't secure these fights, Shawn Porter is mandatory. It makes all the sense in the world. But like I said, it's a lot of pressure going to be on Terence Crawford to show up and show out, because this is a fighter in Shawn Porter who is can match him in athletic ability. This is a fighter who's going to be in his prime, unlike Kell Brook, Amir Khan. He's a big, strong, athletic guy, unlike Yuriorkis Gamboa, who was a smaller guy who did come up 2 weight classes. So, and like I said, those big, huge money fights are waiting in the wings for Terence Crawford. And if he loses against Shawn Porter, everybody's going to say, well, he wasn't what we thought he was. Now with Shawn Porter, this is his opportunity to rectify his losses to Keith Thurman, his loss to Errol Spence, and his loss to Kell Brook in his prime, right? And he beats Terence Crawford. He gets another big fight, another big opportunity. He becomes a 3-time world champion. Now he would have held the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO. Not simultaneously, but he have held a portion of those belts. So, and he goes into a huge rematch in a fight that he wants. Motivating, it was a fight of the year fight with him and Errol Spence. He gets to go back and do it in a huge unification bout. That speaks volumes for Shawn Porter as well. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter as well. So let's see how this all plays out. Shawn Porter did not want to uphold the mandatory. He wanted to just negotiate and work out a deal, but he said he wasn't going to let the opportunity go by the wayside. So let's see how everything unfolds and how this all plays out. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all in word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.